All right, let's get started. Today, we're taking a guided tour through the absolute core of India's legal system. We're going to dive into one single document that lists every single central law that governs the nation, from way back in the colonial era right up to this very year. So yeah, let's jump right in.
So just how big is this legal framework we're talking about? Well, it all comes down to this number, 887. That's it. That's the total number of central acts that shape, well, everything, from how we do business to our most basic civil rights. And to really put that in perspective, this isn't just a list. Think of it as a living, breathing library of laws that's been growing for almost 200 years. And this timeline, wow, it really shows you the incredible history we're dealing with here. This isn't just some modern legal code. It's practically an archive of governance itself. You've got laws that were passed during the British colonial era, like the Indian Tolls Act from way back in 1851, and it stretches all the way to brand new laws from 2024. We're looking at nearly 2 full centuries of lawmaking, all laid out in one place. Okay, so before we start exploring all the different types of laws on this legal map, we first need to understand how to actually read it. The document itself has a very specific, very clear structure, and it's designed that way for a reason: absolute clarity. Let's break down how it works. The real power of this document is in its simple 4-column structure. It's super consistent. Every single law is broken down into 4 key pieces of information: a serial number, the official name of the act, the year it was passed, and something called an act number. Now, that act number is basically a unique ID for that law in that specific year, which is absolutely crucial for lawyers and researchers who need to find the exact piece of legislation.
So why is that year column so important? Well, just look at this comparison. On one side, you have the Public Gambling Act from 1867, a law that tells you a lot about the society of that time. And on the other, you've got the Bhartiya Nyaya Sanhita from 2023, which is part of a massive overhaul of the entire criminal code. The year gives you instant context. It tells you the world that law was born into.
Now, here's a really key detail you got to watch out for. As you scroll through the list, you'll see some laws are marked as a spent act. All that means is that the law is no longer in effect. It either served a temporary purpose and is now done, or it's been officially repealed. It's a good reminder that this list is a historical record, so not every single thing on it is an active law today. And this is why you have to read the footnotes. Seriously, this slide shows a quote about the National Judicial Appointments Commission Act. It was passed by Parliament, seemed all set to go, but then, as the note clearly says, it was struck down by the Supreme Court. It's just a powerful reminder that the law isn't static. It's constantly changing, and the courts can have the final say. Okay, so now that we know how to read the map, let's actually explore the territory. It turns out you can group these 887 acts into different themes, which really helps us see how the government regulates just about everything, from national security to our social well-being. First up, let's look at the backbone of the entire justice system. This is where you'll find those 3 massive new criminal codes from 2023, a total reset of laws that had been around since the colonial era. But this category also includes laws that create special courts, like the Armed Forces Tribunal Act, which is specifically for military justice. Next, you've got the laws that run the engine of the economy. These are the giants. The Companies Act literally sets the rules for every single business in the country. Then you have huge tax laws like the Income Tax Act and the game-changing Goods and Services Tax Act, which completely reshaped how taxes work in India. This category, this is where you really see the human side of the law. These are acts designed to protect people directly. Take the Right to Information Act, for example, a landmark law that gives any citizen the power to demand transparency from the government. You also have laws that provide crucial protections for women, for children, and for senior citizens. This is where the law has a direct impact on people's lives. And finally, there are the laws that have literally drawn the map of modern India. The States Reorganization Act of 1956 was just monumental. It reshaped the entire country, creating new states mostly along linguistic lines. And more recently, you've had acts that have changed the status of places like Goa and, of course, Jammu and Kashmir, defining the nation's political geography. So we have this vast, complex, and let's be honest, kind of intimidating legal landscape. So the big question is, how do we make it truly accessible to everyone? Well, that's where the mission comes in, to turn this dense 50-page document into a searchable, easy-to-use digital library. The goal is to make these laws accessible to everybody, not just the legal experts. And the scale of a project like this is just huge. You can't just dive in. To tackle all 887 acts, you need a precise and systematic plan. As you can see here, the workload has to be divided very carefully, almost equally, to make sure every single law is accounted for. It's the only way to build a resource that's truly comprehensive and reliable.
The mission plan itself is actually pretty straightforward. You can break it down into 3 key steps. First, you divide and conquer the whole list. Second, and this is critical, you apply a strict uniform naming system to every single file. And finally, you take those perfectly organized files and use them to build the digital library for everyone to use.
Okay, now this right here, this is the golden rule. The absolute key to making the whole library work is a consistent naming system. Every law has to be filed in this exact format. Serial number, dot, name of the act, comma, year. That precision is what lets a student or a journalist search for Adar Act 2016 and find exactly what they're looking for instantly. No confusion. I'm going to say it one more time because it is that important. Including the year is non-negotiable. Over 2 centuries, laws get amended, they get repealed, they get replaced. Sometimes different laws even have similar names. The year is the one thing that makes it unique. It gets rid of all the guesswork and guarantees that the archive is 100% accurate.
So, you see, this kind of work is so much more than just admin. It's a really vital contribution to legal transparency and to democracy itself. By taking this dense text and turning it into an open, digital resource, you're empowering everyone, from students to lawyers to everyday citizens. The ultimate goal here is to make India's legal blueprint accessible to anyone and everyone who needs it.